Hi dear students, hope all are fine. So this is the third video of BCOC 132 paper. So today we are going to deal with Unit 3 Social Responsibility and Business Ethics. In this video we will discuss what you mean by business ethics, then what are the theories associated with social responsibility. All these things we will discuss in a detailed manner. So before getting into the video, if you feel that the videos we are providing through these channels are helpful, please like, share and subscribe the channel, and do share the videos with your friends too, right? So if you are in need of PDF of these notes, please join our Telegram channel. Link will be provided in the description box. Okay, without further delay, let's get started. So let's start with social responsibility of business. So you heard about corporate social responsibility or CSR. So what do you mean by CSR? CSR is a collective responsibility of an organization towards its stakeholders. So stakeholders includes the companies, the shareholders, its partners, its community, its where they are operating, the governments. All these are together known as the stakeholders. So the responsibility of a company towards the society or the stakeholders is known as the corporate social responsibility. So there are lots of definition for that. For one of the definition provided by Howard R. Bowen, that is, according to him, social responsibility of business refers to the obligation of business to pursue those policies that can make those decisions or follow those line of actions that are desirable in terms of the objective and values of the society. So the company are making those policies or those actions that can go in line with the objectives and values of the society. So that is known as social responsibility, right? So when we are discussing the social responsibility of business, you heard about this COP26 recently happened at Glasgow. So there the countries heads are discussing about how to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. Okay, so these multinational companies, this multinational business organization has a great role in reducing these greenhouse gases through their production activities. Okay, so Tesla, then Amazon, all have included in their CSR activities that they will curtail the carbon emission by this much percentage by the end of this year. So CSR initiatives are a much needed one in the current scenario, right? If in India it is a punishable offense, the company failed to comply with the CSR rules, it is a punishable offense. They have to pay a hefty fine as per the Company Act of 2013. These all things we will discuss in the coming slides, right? So let's look into the obligation of CSR. They have four obligations: economic responsibility, that is the responsibility to make profit, and that's the main responsibility of a firm, and they have to make profit so that they can share it with their shareholders, right? So that is the first one. Then second one, legal responsibility. So that is they have to adhere to the rules and regulations of the country. Okay, then third one, ethical responsibility. Ethical responsibility is to do what is right, okay, and it should match with the ethics of that culture. Recently we heard about the Fab India ad, then controversies associated with the Fab India ad, Dabber ad. So why the public intolerance happened? Because that ad doesn't match with the country's culture, right? Difference of opinions are there, but that is the main reason these companies have to take back their ad. Okay, so that is the ethical responsibility. That is, when you are running a business in a particular ethnicity, you have to take care of their culture, right? Then philanthropic responsibility, that is the responsibility of an organization towards the society where they are running their organization. That is, they have to contribute towards the welfare of that society. Okay, economic, legal, ethical and philanthropic responsibilities. So these are the four obligations of CSR, right? We heard about the philanthropic activities or the CSR activities of multinational companies particularly based in India, like Infosys, Wipro, then Mahindra, etc., right? So these companies have actively involved in the CSR activities. They are running many NGOs, then they involved in initiatives like providing free education to the people who belongs to the under poverty line, then nourishment to the kids, lots of activities. Okay, so next is, what are the importance of CSR? When the companies are engaged in CSR activities, is there any benefit for them? Okay, let's look into it. So first is, it helps in strengthening the relationship between the companies and stakeholders. Whenever we are hearing about Infosys or Wipro, we have a image that is, these companies will not do anything wrong. Okay, they are very much attached to the, or very much comply with the rules of the land. Okay, they are very much caring about our culture, they are providing much to the society where they are operating. Okay, so that it will definitely create a true relationship between the company and the stakeholders, right? Then it enables continuous improvement, so it attracts the best industry talent. So when we look into these engineering students and all, they have these, majority of the tech aspirants have a dream that they have to work with these Infosys foundations or with Wipro. Okay, why? Because these are one of the best tech companies in every sector, right? So that is another benefit. Then mitigate risk as a result of its effective corporate governance framework, and it enhances the ability to manage stakeholders' expectations. So these are the importance of CSR, right? Let's look into the evolution of CSR in India. It is comprising of 4 phases. So the first phase is from 1815 to 1914. So that phase focused mainly on charity and philanthropic nature. So the CSR activities was influenced by the family values, tradition, culture, etc. And the wealth of the businessmen was focused particularly on the welfare of society by setting up temples, religious institutions, like that. So the pioneers in that industrialization period was Tata, Birla, Godrej, Bajaj and all, and they focused on building up charitable foundations, educational and healthcare institution. So these are the first phase development. Second phase is from 1910 to 1960. So during that phase, that is during the independence movement, they are sharing wealth to the poor section and marginalized people in the society. So it is sharing wealth to the poor section. Next is phase 3, that is from 1950 to 1990, social accountability and transparency. So after the independence, we have public sector undertakings. So through the public sector undertakings as well as to the private sectors, the major emphasis was given to the social accountability. You should accountable to the public, as well as the transparency. You have to be transparent in your business. So these are the 2 terms involved in the CSR activities in the 19 till 1990. From 1980 onwards, that is from 1980 onwards, the CSR was considered as a responsibility, right? So it is a responsibility period. So CSR is now considered as a sustainable business strategy. So if you want to run the business for a long period of time, or if you want to be in the market for a prolonged time, you have to adopt CSR as your sustainable business strategy. So without CSR activities, you cannot be in the field for a long time. Okay, so these are the different phases of evolution of CSR in India. I hope it's clear. So let's look into the CSR theories. So the first theory you have to learn is corporate social responsibility theory. So according to this theory, the welfare of the community through the discretionary business practices. So that is, discretionary responsibility means it's a voluntary responsibility without any external pressure. The company itself is voluntarily involved in the social contributions. Okay, so it is not mandatory, that is the company has to contribute towards the society, but voluntarily they are engaged in it. So that is the corporate social responsibility theory says that the company is engaged in discretionary business practices. So the discretionary activities include philanthropic contributions that offer no direct financial payback to the company, and it is the highest criteria of social responsibility, that is without any external pressure, without any compulsory law. The company itself is sharing their profit with the with the society where they are operating. So that is corporate social responsibility, saying that is a discretionary responsibility, right? So that is corporate social responsibility. Next is stake theory, that is proposed by Edward Freeman, that is in 1984. This theory states that the stakeholder, who are the stakeholders, that is customers, suppliers, community, government, environment, investors, employees. So these are the stakeholders: employee, environment, supplier, government, community, customers, and investors. So the company has a responsibility towards the stakeholders. Okay, when we discussed about the obligation, we discussed about the economic responsibility. So that is economic responsibility means responsible to the company towards the shareholders, right? Then we discussed about the social responsibility or legal responsibility towards the government. Then we discussed about the ethical responsibility to the society. Then we discussed about the philanthropy, so that is towards the society. Okay, so these together we can call it as stakeholder, right? So the stakeholders theory claim that the company has a responsibility to operate in the interest of its stakeholders. So it's stipulate that the responsibility towards the customers, how they should be responsible to the customers. They should provide the customers with good quality product at a reasonable and affordable prices. Then responsibility towards the employees, so employees should be treated well, they should be compensated well, and they have to be provide fair wages, right? Then responsibility towards the finances, so that is the company has to be responsible towards the finances by paying back the amount or make a transparent deal with them, right? Responsibility to the suppliers, then responsibility to the communities by providing contributing things that are needed for the welfare of the society. So these are the responsibilities of an organization towards the stakeholders, right? So these argues that a firm should create value for all stakeholders, not just shareholders. So according to the stakeholder theory of Edward Freeman, the company has to focus more on the welfare of the or creating value towards the stakeholders, not only the shareholders. They have to focus on value creation for stakeholders, not focus much on the shareholders. Okay, so the third theory is triple bottom line theory or TBL theory. It is proposed by John Ellington. So there are 3 P's in this theory. So first P is people, second is planet, and third one is profit. So according to this theory, it's a balanced approach for measuring the performance of a company over time. So it aimed to measure the financial, social, and environmental performance of a company over time. How a company is performing on the basis of financial, social, and environmental basis, right? So that is evaluating on a timely basis. So the theory holds that if a firm look at profits only, ignoring people and the planet, it cannot account for the full cost of doing business. So if the company is focusing only on the profit and they are denying or they are not taking care of other 2 factors, that is the planet and the people, then that means the company is not a CSR oriented company and it is not a well-doing company, right? Then profit means it is the traditional measure of corporate profit, that is profit loss account. If the company is making profit, then people, that means it how socially responsible an organization towards its employees throughout its history. So that is the measuring through the people. Then planet means how environmentally responsible a firm. So the products of that company are how eco-friendly, how the activities of the companies, whether they are eco-friendly or not. So these all are evaluating through the planet criteria. Okay, so the first P is people, so how they are dealing with the people, or that is their employees. Then second one, how they are focused on the environmental activities. Then third one is how they are focusing on their financial aspects. So these 3 criteria are measured on a timely basis to evaluate the company's performance. So that is a triple bottom theory says. So we can say that's a balanced approach. Okay, so other theories are there. So Carroll's Csr Pyramid, it was in the year 1991. Carroll described a pyramid model for CSR. So that is, in that pyramid, first one is the bottom line is economic one. So the at the lower level, the company has to be profitable. Second one is legal, so that is company has to obey the legal formalities of the country. Then it should be ethical. Then the last pyramid, that is the top, it has to focus on philanthropy. So like a pyramid, at the lower level it is economic, that is a basic need, then it has to focus on the legal aspect, then of ethical aspect, and then the philanthropic aspects. Okay, then other theories are there, that is stewardship theory. So these theories are not included in your syllabus, for your knowledge only I just described it, right? So bottom line refers to company's earnings, profit, net income, or earnings per share. Okay, so through the triple bottom line, we are trying to evaluate the company's performance on the basis of its contribution towards the people, profit, as well as to the planet, right? So there are certain examples of firm they adopted the TBL approach. First is Lego Group, then Mars, Starbucks, and other organizations. So the Lego Group, they have a privately held firm. It has contributed towards the welfare of wildlife, and they have associated with certain non-governmental organization for the wildlife preservation. Then Lego had a commitment towards the reduction of carbon footprint, and they are working towards 100% renewable energy capacity by 2013. They have pledged for a transition to renewable bioplastic. So renewable means that is we can produce again. There are two types of energy, that is renewable energy and non-renewable energy. Non-renewable means once used it is exhausting, so we cannot produce it again, so that is non-renewable source. So that they are the fossil fuels. Okay, so they focused on this renewable source of energy. Okay, so the current climate conferences are saying that we have to reduce the carbon emission through focusing on renewable source of energy, so that is wind, solar energy, like that, and reduce the consumption of non-renewable like fossil fuels like oil, petrol, etc., right? Then benefits, what are the benefits you are getting by measuring the triple bottom line? Okay, so it will give a exact picture of company towards its stakeholders. So encourage CSR reporting. It supports measurement of environmental impact and extent of sustainability. So according to John, he argues for a balanced approach. That is, it's a balanced approach of measuring the performance of a company over a particular period of time. So profit, people, and planet. So these three has an impact on the bottom line. We already discussed bottom line means the company's profit and net income or earning per share. So the company's attitude towards the financial aspects, towards the people, towards the planet, these three are in a balanced manner, then it will definitely definitely have a positive impact on the company's bottom line, okay, and its overall performance, right? So recent theories, that is belonging to Moher and other group of researchers. ETAL means other researchers. Okay, lots of researchers involved in this research work, right? They can't specify one or two names, so that's why they specify one name and remaining they put it as ETAL, right? So this study happened in 2010. It is explaining about the CSR practices. That is, first model is business case model. According to business case model, CSR initiatives are primarily assessed in economic manner and pursued only when there is a clear link to firm financial performance. So it is focused mainly on economic perspective. So when the CSR activities are providing companies some financial upbringing or financial benefits, then only the company will focus on these CSR activities. So that is a business case model, right? Then second one is social value led model. So in this model, organization adopts CSR initiatives regarding specific issues for non-economic reasons. So according to the social value model means the companies are involving in certain issues only. Why? There is no specific economic reasons for that, but they are interested in certain area. So like we discussed about Lego, right? They focused on the environmental issue, so that's why they are planning to reduce their carbon footprint by 2030, or they introduced eco-friendly toys. Okay, we discussed in the other slide. Okay, so that is they are focusing on a particular issue that is not for any economic benefit, right? Next is syncretic stewardship model. So it combines both these. So syncretic stewardship model means it's a combination of business case model and social value model. So it's a balanced one. So they are focusing on certain activities on the basis of economic benefits, certain activities on the basis of non-economic reasons. Okay, so it's a 50-50 basis. So that is syncretic stewardship model. So the three models are there: business case, social value, and syncretism stewardship model, and it was proposed by Moher and other group of researchers in the year 2010. It's a recently based research study. So now look into the CSR in India. So as per the Company Act of 2013, Section 135, CSR is compulsory, whether it is a government or a private, it is compulsory, and there are certain fiscal conditions. So the fiscal conditions are the net worth of a company should be 500 crore or more, or annual turnover should be 1000 crore or more, or annual net profit should be 5 crore or more. If any of these conditions, fiscal conditions, are satisfied, the company has to create a committee to enforce the CSR mandate, and it should contain 3 or more directors, and at least one of the directors should be an independent director, then 2 directors in the case of a private company. In the case of public companies, then at least one should be an independent director. In the case of a private company, 2 directors in case, and 2 directors on board, right? For foreign companies, 2 directors and 1 person should be a resident in India. Okay, so the responsibilities of the committees are the creation of an elaborate policy to implement the legally mandated CSR activity, and it should conform to Schedule 7 of the Company Act of 2013. The company has to allocate and audit the money for different CSR purpose. The committee will issue an annual report. The committee has to make sure that they will issue an annual report on various CSR initiatives they have undertaken, and then it should be placed in the company's official website and should be approved by the committee, and board of directors is bound to accept and follow any CSR related suggestion, and this committee has to ensure that at least 2% of the company's net profit should spend on CSR related activities. Okay, so the committee has to ensure that local issues and regions are looked into first as a part of CSR activity. So if they are a Bombay based organization, so they have to focus on that particular region's development. Okay, so these are some of the responsibilities. So you have to remember that the company has to form a CSR committee, and the committee should focus on the CSR initiative of the company, of the organization, and it has to make sure that the details should be furnished in the official website, and it has to go in accordance with the CSR rules that is mentioned in the Schedule 7 of Company Act of 2013, and it has to ensure that at least 2% of the net profit of the company should spend on CSR related activities. So they have to concentrate more on the local issues and regional issues, right? Once they complete that, then they can focus on the wider perspective, right? So corporate responsibility, it is also known as corporate social responsibility or business sustainability. It's all about the ethics that drive an organization's activity and how to operate it so that it is viable over a long term. There are 3 components for corporate responsibility. They are corporate social responsibility or CSR, corporate governance, and environmental accountability. So corporate governance means it's a system of governing the activities of an organization, and there are 3 major participants in that corporate governance activities. They are the shareholders, then the management, and the board of directors. Okay, so then in corporate governance we have 4 P's. They are focusing on people, then process, then performance, and perspective. Okay, it is a system of rules, practices, and process, right? So that is corporate governance. Then environmental accountability. So as an organization, in the current perspective, it is accountable to the environment. So its focus should be to be environmental friendly. So the organizations should be environmental friendly and it is accountable to the environmental issues. So these are the three components of corporate responsibility. Next is paradigm shift of CSR. There is a shift happened in the CSR initiative and CSR perspective. So the first shift happened in the philosophy of business. In the earlier period, we discussed about different phases of CSR evolution. So in the first 2 to 3 phases, it is focused mainly on the profit making and the philanthropic and charity measures only. But currently the business philosophy changed to philosophies of business. So that is it is focusing more on the social aspect. So the business is a social institution rather than a property institution. So it is focusing primarily for the natural environment preservation. Why? Because the organizations are running in the natural environment, so it has to use the resources properly so that it will be less harmful to the environment, right? So that is the first one, philosophy of business. So second shift happened towards the society and natural environment. It is more focused on the ethics involved with the business. So here the primary responsibility of the business to the natural environment, then to the society, and then to the stakeholders like vendors, bankers, etc., and finally to the shareholder. Here the last focus to the shareholder and first focus should be to the natural environment. Okay, so that is the shift towards the society and natural environment. So as per the current scenario, the business are focusing more on the preservation of the natural environment and it has to focus more to that rather than the shareholders, right? So that is that happened in the CSR activity, right? I hope it's clear. So first, what do you mean by ethics? So ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, that means character or accepted behavior. So ethics is a set of principle or standard of human conduct that govern the behavior of individual or organization. So using this ethical standard, person or a group of person or an organization can regulate their behavior. Okay, how to behave in a crowd, how to behave with your elders, how to behave with your colleagues. All these are coming under ethics, and these all ethics we are preliminary acquired from our family, then from our teachers, then from our colleagues, then our peers, then from the society. From all these sources we are acquiring these ethics. Okay, so when we are speaking about ethics, we Indians have a certain sort of ethics. The Western countries have their own sort of ethics. So we have to respect the ethnicity, different ethnicities. So we have to respect the different notions of people. Okay, so these all are coming under ethics. Okay, so ethics means the character or customs or the accepted behavior, right? So we are going to discuss the detailed about ethics, different theories associated with that, then different types of ethics in the upcoming slides, right? Ethical theories. It is divided into two types on the basis of conduct and character. So ethics of conduct explain that what sort of actions should we perform. Okay, so ethics of character says that what sort of people should we be. Okay, or ethics by virtue. So your character based ethics. Okay, so Aristotelianism is coming under ethics of character. So according to Aristotelianism, virtue means it's a mean between extremes of action or passion. So you have to take a middle ground between your actions and passion. So that is known as virtue. So that is Aristotelianism, right? Then ethics of conduct is divided into two, that is consequentialism, deontology, right? Okay, so consequentialism means that your actions produce the most intrinsic good. That means your end justify your means. So what all action you are or what all path you have followed, but your end goal is a justifiable one, so then that ethics is good. So that is known as consequentialism. Okay, so consequentialism is, we can otherwise call it as theological one. Okay, so theologism or consequentialism, it is again divided into ethical egoism, utilitarianism, altruism. Okay, so ethical egoism means that an action is morally right okay, if consequences are good to the individual who is doing it. Okay, if I have done certain things and end product is beneficial to me, so that ethics is right. So that is known as ethical egoism. Next is utilitarianism. So that means an action is morally right if consequences are more favorable to everyone. So your actions lead to a benefit to a huge mass, and then we will call that type of actions are morally right. So that concept is known as utilitarianism. Another one is altruism. Altruism is an act that provides benefit to everyone except you. You are not benefited by that action, but it benefits many other people. So that is known as altruism. So any of these categories, so egoism or utilitarianism and altruism, is focusing on the path, whatever path you follow, but your end goals are beneficial, so that is morally right action. So that is consequentialism theory, right? Then another one is deontology. Deontology is focusing on your obligations or duties. So according to deontology, our action should not come from other purpose. That is, you have to focus on your duties and your obligations. So like in Hindu philosophy says that you have to do your karma, rest will provided by the universe. You have to focus only on your karma, right? You don't bother about your out product, right? So that is deontology. It is focusing on the actions or obligations of duties, and actions are morally right independent of their consequences. Okay, so if you are doing the right thing but the consequences may be beneficial to you or not beneficial to you, it doesn't matter. Okay, if your actions are good, then it is morally right action. But in consequentialism, it is saying that your goal is good, then your actions are good, right? So that is the basic difference between consequentialism or deontology and deontology, right? So ethical theories, ethics of conduct and ethics of character. Under ethics of character, you have Aristotelianism or ethics of virtue. Then ethics of conduct, you have consequentialism, deontology, consequentialism, or otherwise known as theological one. Then deontological one, right? Then when we in the another slide we will discuss about other types of ethics. So there we will discuss meta, normative and applied ethics. So the under normative ethics we have this deontology, deontological, then ethics by virtue or consequential approach, all these coming under normative ethics. Then meta ethics is obligations or duties, right? Then applied ethics, so that we will discuss in the next slide, right? So let's look at the type of ethics. Okay, we already discussed the ethical theories. So under ethical theories we discussed about consequentialism approach, and then deontological approach, and then ethics by virtue, right? So in this slide we are going to discuss three main types of ethics: meta, normative and applied ethics. So meta ethics means the nature of moral knowledge. Okay, it is a descriptive branch of ethics. So it deals with the understanding on the basis of which we have to, on the basis of what criteria we have to distinguish what is right and what is wrong. So it is a foundation of moral values, attitudes and behavior. Okay, so that is meta ethics. We can call it as ethics of ethics, right? Then normative ethics. Then normative ethics means what constitute a good life, what should I do and who should I be. So it's a prescriptive branch. Okay, it tends to arrive at conclusion about acceptable behavior in a society. How should I behave in a society? Okay, so these all are coming under normative ethics. So normative ethics is again divided into deontological, that is duty based one, then theological or consequentialist approach, and then ethics by virtue. So these all things we discussed in the previous slide. Okay, so next is applied ethics. Applied ethics means how you have to follow or how you have to be morally grounded in a particular profession. So you have to apply your ethics in your profession. If you are a doctor or if you are a teacher, what all ethics associated with that profession. So these all are coming under applied ethics. Or if you are doing a business, certain ethics you have to follow in doing a business. So that is coming under business ethics, or otherwise known as corporate ethics, right? So that is applied, the applied ethics. So meta, normative and applied ethics, right? Okay, next is business ethics. So business ethics means in the picture you can see that trust, principle of business, behavior of the organization, that is how the organization behave with the employees, with the different stakeholders, then morality of the organization, then reliability of the organization, relationship, responsibility, all these things are collectively known as business ethics. Okay, so the business ethics is a form of applied ethics. We already discussed three types of ethics: meta, normative and applied ethics. So business ethics is come in the applied ethics category, or a professional ethics that examines ethics principle or moral that can arise in a business environment, how to tackle it, right? It is otherwise known as corporate ethics. It applies to all aspects of business conduct and is relevant to the conduct of individuals and entire organization. So the companies which are having the best ethical corporate policies include Google, Microsoft, Intel, Tata Steel, Wipro, Infosys. All these are certain companies, they have a good ethical or the best ethical corporate policies. Okay, so that's all for this video. So we covered almost all the concepts of third unit. I hope the concepts are clear to you. If you have any doubt, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so before winding up, let's look into the 6 ethics of life. So the first ethics is, before you pray, you have to believe. Before you speak, you have to listen. Before you spend, you have to earn. Before you write, you have to think. Before you quit, you have to try. And before you die, you have to live. So that's very important. So you have to live each moments of your life. Okay, so with that note, we are going to wind up. So if you feel that the contents are helpful for you, please like, share and subscribe the channel, and please share it with your friends too. So we'll come with next videos within 1 or 2 days. So till then, take care, stay safe, stay happy. Thank you.